I'm traveling in a part of Indonesia called Sulawesi, a huge island bursting with spectacular nature. And in this video I'll be showing you all the incredible creatures that I encountered in one of its nature reserves. If you enjoy some calming nature footage, then sit back and relax, because there's a lot of that coming right up. But first, let me give a little bit of context. So Sulawesi is of particular interest to biologists because it sits right along the Wallace Line. It's a boundary separating Asiatic animals on one side and Australian species on the other. These two areas were once contiguous landmasses, but even in prehistoric times, Sulawesi was always an island between them, and that explains why it has an unusual mix of wildlife. To see this for myself, I went to the Tangkoko Nature Reserve, which is located at the northern edge of Sulawesi. Hugging the coastline here is a large unbroken forest with at its heart the Tangkoko mountain and the twin volcanic peaks of Dua Saudara. I stayed in a little hamlet right next to the park entrance so I could go in first thing in the morning. So it's 3 of us tourists with 2 guides, an experienced park ranger along with his eagle-eyed daughter. As we enter the forest, I often just have to stop to admire some of the gorgeous trees. We're scouring the jungle looking for crested macaques that allegedly live here. I was mentally prepared for a long and arduous search, and then one just casually passes by. We stopped to observe 3 macaques resting on the forest floor. However, the ranger tells us we should quickly move up further ahead. In what was a wonderful bit of luck, an entire group of macaques had settled on top of a fallen tree. It was a perfect podium for us to observe them. They were grooming diligently, at times in wonderful synchronicity. Now, these animals are not fed, and this is a wild area, but since they have their territory near the edge of the park, it is clearly very easy for the rangers to find them. Occasionally, there is a bit of a ruckus. It was suggested that I should get my picture taken with the macaques, and why not?
Di belakang pos 3 tuh. Hah? Di belakang pos 3 ya. Belakang pos 3. Wah.
Delighted to have met the macaques, I was hungry for more. It was time to find some couscous. No, not that kind. This kind. This creature is called a bear couscous. The name is a bit deceiving because it's not a bear but a marsupial. They're a perfect example of an Australian type species that you wouldn't see anywhere else in Asia. This leaf-eating furry fella is only found along the Wallace Line, dividing the 2 different evolutionary paths in Asia and Australia. Now, I won't pretend to have actually heard about the couscous before this trip, but that made it even more interesting to see them, and I never would have were it not for the laser-eyed rangers. Oh, hello, beautiful tree. Morning. Now, I should mention I'm not a birder, nor am I a wildlife photographer or anything, and yet I was amazed by some of the footage that I was able to capture. This is the best look I've ever had at a hornbill. And yes, this is through a telelens, but even with the naked eye you could easily observe it. Actually, there were 3 of them on different branches.
Iya Pak, tunggu.
It was great to see them go about their regular business, like looking for berries in the forest canopy. So this berry, I guess, didn't sit so well. With midday approaching, it was the end of the hike, and I headed back to the village. I felt like I'd already hit the jackpot with all the wonderful animals I'd seen. But I wasn't done yet. I stuck around a little longer to spend some time here at the beach. At night, my goal will be to find the nocturnal tarsier monkeys, an absolutely tiny and elusive primate. I'd only seen tarsiers once before in an enclosed sanctuary in the Philippines, so I was excited to finally, maybe, see them in the wild. Remember the Wallace Line I mentioned? Tarsiers are specifically found along this invisible barrier, and they're unusual for being a species that has crossed over to both sides.
So we're actually waiting for it to get a little darker so that we can see maybe tarsiers. And actually one of the guides has already spotted one in the forest here. But yeah, I didn't want to tip off the other people because otherwise too many people are going to crowd around the same tarsier.
Tarsiers are nocturnal creatures. Their enormous eyes let them see in the dark. And much like owls, they can rotate their heads almost 360 degrees to scope out the forest around them. Look, he's there.
There are actually 5 of them. A little family in the trees.
Now they may look adorable and they seem really chill, but they are highly capable creatures. They can jump up to 5 meters, which is crazy considering they're about the size of an apple. And they're skilled hunters, being the only purely carnivorous primate. But yeah, they are also definitely the cutest little gremlins in the world. The park rangers, by the way, are really good at enforcing the rules so as not to disturb the animals. Since a lot of the wildlife here is threatened, ecotourism plays a really helpful role. So I highly recommend heading into the forest here with a local guide. Mission accomplished. Be sure to join me on the next episode where I visit the city of Gorontalo, which had a unique role in Indonesia's history, before making my way to the remote and paradisical Togean Islands.